federal judge dismisses DOJ's Sanctuary City lawsuit against Illinois and Chicago. In a significant legal victory for Illinois, Cook County, and Chicago, a federal judge has dismissed the U.S. Department of Justice's DOJ lawsuit, targeting the city's sanctuary policies. This decision comes as a relief to local officials who have long argued that their policies are both lawful and essential for maintaining public trust and safety. But here's where it gets controversial. The DOJ's lawsuit accused these local governments of obstructing federal immigration law by implementing rules that prevent local law enforcement from participating in immigration enforcement activities and sharing the immigration status of criminals with federal authorities. U.S. District Court Judge Lindsay Jenkins ruled in favor of the defendants, stating that the federal government lacks standing to sue them over these sanctuary policies. She emphasized that while Congress has significant powers, it cannot force states to administer federal regulatory programs. This ruling underscores a fundamental principle of federalism, where states retain considerable autonomy in setting their own policies. The DOJ has not yet responded to the dismissal, leaving open the possibility of an appeal or refiled case. However, legal experts suggest that crafting a new complaint with different allegations could be challenging. Judge Jenkins has given the DOJ until August 28 to amend its complaint, after which the dismissal could become final. This case has garnered widespread attention, with Illinois' Attorney General Kwame Raoul praising the decision as a defense of the state's Trust Act. Governor J.B. Pritzker also chimed in, highlighting the importance of adhering to the law and court rulings. Local officials, including Cook County State's Attorney Eileen Burke and Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson, have similarly expressed their support for the judge's ruling, arguing that sanctuary policies are crucial for fostering trust between law enforcement and immigrant communities. And this is the part most people miss. The broader implications of this ruling could extend beyond these specific cities, potentially influencing how other jurisdictions navigate the complex landscape of federal immigration law and local policy. As the debate over sanctuary cities continues, this case serves as a pivotal moment, underscoring the legal and political challenges involved. What are your thoughts on this ruling? Do you believe sanctuary policies help or hinder public safety? Share your views in the comments below. Federal judge dismisses Trump administration's lawsuit against Chicago's sanctuary policies. Imagine a legal battle where the very principles of state versus federal power hang in the balance. That's exactly what unfolded when a federal judge dismissed a lawsuit brought by the Trump administration against Chicago over its sanctuary city policies. This wasn't just any case. It was a clash of ideologies, pitting constitutional protections against immigration enforcement strategies. In a detailed and compelling 64-page decision, U.S. District Judge Lindsay Jenkins, appointed by President Joe Biden, sided with Illinois, concluding that the federal government lacked the standing to challenge these sanctuary policies. The ruling hinged on the 10th Amendment, a cornerstone of American federalism, which reserves powers not explicitly granted to the federal government for the states themselves. Judge Jenkins emphasized that Illinois' choice to implement sanctuary laws is firmly protected under this amendment. These laws essentially dictate that local officials will not assist federal immigration authorities in civil detainment operations unless specific conditions are met. According to the judge, this stance doesn't infringe upon federal authority, but rather upholds the delicate balance between state and federal powers. But here's where it gets controversial. Allowing the administration's request would effectively sidestep the 10th Amendment. It could set a dangerous precedent, enabling the federal government to bypass constitutional limits under the guise of intergovernmental immunity, a move explicitly prohibited by the Constitution itself. Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker celebrated the ruling, asserting that it ensures state law enforcement won't be complicit in what he described as the Trump administration's unlawful policies or troubling tactics. He clarified that Illinois remains willing to cooperate when federal authorities adhere to legal procedures, such as presenting valid warrants to address violent crime. But participating in what he views as violations of the law, that's a line the state refuses to cross. The Justice Department has yet to comment on the dismissal. However, this legal scuffle is part of a broader pattern. Back in February, the Trump Justice Department filed a lawsuit against Illinois and Cook County, home to Chicago, over policies they claimed hindered federal immigration enforcement. This marked the first time the administration directly targeted so-called sanctuary jurisdictions, a term used to describe areas that limit cooperation with federal immigration efforts. This lawsuit, spanning 22 pages, aimed to dismantle state, city, and county ordinances that restrict local police from aiding federal immigration enforcement without a criminal warrant. Former Attorney General Pam Bondi argued that these policies obstruct federal objectives, thereby jeopardizing public safety. And this is the part most people miss. The administration didn't stop at Illinois. Similar lawsuits targeted other sanctuary jurisdictions nationwide. For example, a recent suit against New York City criticized the city as a leader in undermining national immigration laws. Another lawsuit challenged New York State's green light law, which allows undocumented immigrants to apply for driver's licenses while barring state officials from sharing their information with federal authorities. Los Angeles also faced legal action over policies deemed to interfere with federal immigration agents, treating them differently compared to other law enforcement entities. This came amid escalating tensions between California's Democratic leaders and the Trump administration, especially after immigration enforcement sparked protests and required deploying National Guard troops. In January, former President Trump issued an executive order directing then Attorney General Bondi and Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem to ensure sanctuary jurisdictions didn't receive federal funds. They were even encouraged to pursue criminal or civil penalties against localities impeding federal law enforcement. However, a federal judge blocked the effort in April, stating it violated constitutional principles regarding the separation of powers, an issue that had arisen before during Trump's presidency. So where does this leave the debate over sanctuary cities? Is it about protecting local autonomy, or should federal immigration priorities take precedence? We'd love to hear your thoughts. Do you think sanctuary policies uphold constitutional rights, or do they undermine national security? Share your perspective in the comments below. Judge dismisses Trump officials' lawsuit against Chicago's sanctuary policies. In a significant legal development, a judge in Illinois has dismissed a lawsuit initiated by the Trump administration that aimed to challenge the restrictions Chicago has placed on the collaboration between local police and federal immigration authorities. This lawsuit, which was filed back in February, claimed that the sanctuary laws in Chicago, the third largest city in the United States, obstruct federal immigration enforcement efforts. The lawsuit contended that these local regulations contradict federal laws by limiting the ability of local governments to share immigration-related information with federal law enforcement agencies. It also argued that such laws hinder immigration officials from identifying individuals who might be subject to deportation. Judge Lindsay Jenkins, presiding over the case in the Northern District of Illinois, granted the motion to dismiss put forth by the defendants. In response to the ruling, Chicago's Mayor Brandon Johnson expressed his satisfaction, emphasizing that the city is safer when law enforcement prioritizes the needs of its residents. He stated, "This ruling affirms what we have long known, that Chicago's welcoming city ordinance is lawful and supports public safety. The city cannot be compelled to cooperate with the Trump administration's reckless and inhumane immigration agenda." Governor J.B. Pritzker also welcomed the decision, taking to social media to declare, "Illinois just beat the Trump administration in federal court." Interestingly, the Justice Department and the Department of Homeland Security did not provide immediate comments regarding his ruling. The Trump administration has previously filed multiple lawsuits against various state and city policies perceived as obstructing immigration enforcement. This includes actions against cities like Los Angeles, New York City, Denver, and Rochester, New York, as well as a lawsuit against 4 cities in New Jersey earlier this year. Chicago, which has a strong Democratic presence, has been recognized as a sanctuary city for many years and has strengthened its sanctuary laws multiple times, particularly during Trump's first term in 2017. Notably, that same year, then-Governor Bruce Rauner, a Republican, enacted additional statewide sanctuary protections, which put him at odds with many in his party. It is important to note that there is no universally accepted definition of sanctuary policies or sanctuary cities. Generally, these terms refer to limitations on local cooperation with Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE. While ICE is responsible for enforcing immigration laws across the United States, it occasionally seeks assistance from state and local authorities. But here's where it gets controversial. Are sanctuary policies truly beneficial for public safety, or do they create a divide between local and federal law enforcement? What are your thoughts on this issue? Do you believe that cities should have the autonomy to implement asylum policies, or should they align more closely with federal immigration enforcement? Share your opinions in the comments below.